welcome to another episode of Fans in Motion, the ultimate Night Ranger podcast, or as Andrew would say, the podcast you didn't know you needed. With me today is a FIM member, a Fans in Motion member from all the way back when we first started this thing. The lady, the myth, the legend, Melissa Gong is with us today. Melissa has a great story. Some of you may already know it. She was at the Hearts Away video shoot, and while she was there, she won something very special. Jack's pants from Seven Wishes in the Sentimental Street video.
The 4 a.m. video.
4 a.m. video. So we will get to that in due time. But Melissa, thank you for joining us or joining me. Andy and Brent couldn't make it today. Robin was going to jump on, but something came up. So you get the best. All right.
That's fine with me. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want those other yahoos anyways.
Right.
So yeah, let's just get let me start with this. So right now you're West Coast. Is that where you were in the 80s growing up?
Yep, that's where I was.
So where at on the West Coast?
I am in the Monterey area, but I went to school in San Francisco, and I got to know some people while I was up there.
All right. So you grew up in the San Francisco area?
No, actually, I grew up in the Monterey area.
Okay. So when did you first become familiar with Night Ranger? What was your first what do you remember first? Was it the videos, MTV?
It was the Dawn Patrol time, and I don't remember specifically if it was a video. Maybe Don't Tell Me You Love Me. But they were coming to play in Santa Cruz. And we got a carload together and we went to see the band in Santa Cruz. And after that, it's all history.
So would that have been the Dawn Patrol tour?
Yes.
Okay, so now were they like headlining or were they opening for someone at that show?
They were headlining. It was, not a huge venue,
Uh-huh.
but they were headlining.
Did you go as a fan then leave like as a hardcore fan? Was it something about that show just make you fall in love with them even more, or were you like that when you just got the record?
I went in as a casual fan, and then I came out more of a fan, but then then I went back to school in San Francisco, being around some of the other Bay Area bands and being familiar with the BAMIs and everything, the Bay Area Music Awards.
Yep.
And I just kind of increasingly got more into Night Ranger. I started out as a huge Journey fan.
Another
And
Bay Area band?
yeah, and I just had a thing for Bay Area music, and being in school in San Francisco, I it was fun.
Mhm. Well,
Got to see lots of good shows.
I mean, you had Journey, you had Night Ranger, Y&T,
Mm-hmm.
Huey Lewis and the News, some of those guys
Yeah.
came out of there, and um, and of course, you had the Grateful Dead and
Mm-hmm.
Jeff-
Santana.
yeah, Santana, Jefferson Airplane, all those guys. So did you go see Night Ranger on like the Midnight Madness tour and the Seven Wishes?
Oh yeah. They used to play Bay Area shows, like, if I remember right, every holiday season, right around Christmas or New Year's, they would come back and play. They would usually do a New Year's Eve show either in San Francisco or San Jose or Sacramento, Oakland, one of
Mhm.
those cities. And so I always made it to one of those shows somewhere around there in the week.
And because I know, I think they did one with like Eddie Money, and I think they did like a New Year's Eve show with Y&T. Um, one year. Actually, I think I bought the ticket for the Y&T New Year's Eve show. But anyways, um, so being a fan from the very beginning, um, when Seven Wishes came out, Seven Wishes, great album, but kind of different than Midnight Madness and Dawn Patrol. Uh, did you think anything of it, or were you along for the ride and enjoying it?
I loved all of
Hmm.
it. I I was um a big Jeff Watson fan.
Hmm.
So I anything that the band put out back then, I bought it the day it came out, and I I loved it.
Hmm.
So it
So
could
here,
be
so you bought it when it came out. Now, 1985, Seven Wishes. Were you buying it on LP? Were you buying it on cassette?
LP.
All right. Um, Now I was a Jeff
So
Watson fan as well because I had the same initials. Now I know you don't have the same initials. So was it the golden locks that made your heart pitter patter?
no, it was the eight fingers.
Ah, right. So
It was the eight fingers.
um, so you got Midnight Madness. You got um Seven Wishes. So Big Life. When Big Life comes out, again, did you notice any difference? Were like, because again, I'm younger than most Night Ranger fans. I mean, I know you're 29, but
Hmm.
uh so I was 10 when Big Life came out. But I remember my aunt buying it for me, and I'm just like, yeah, this isn't the same. I mean, I still liked it. I still played the hell out of it. But if I was 10 years old wanting to rock. So I was always going back to Midnight Madness, Dawn Patrol. I got Big Life and Motley Crue Girls, Girls, Girls at the same time. So I was always hitting the Motley Crue. Um, did did you, you know, did you notice any change? Did you like Big Life when it came out? When you grabbed that record when it came out, what did you think of Big Life?
Big Life was probably around the peak of my night rangerness. And I had gone to school to study audio engineering. So my big life dream was to go on the road with a band and be their audio engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So when Big Life came out, that was my theme. You know, I I would sing that song in my head always. But um I had I was in the fan club at that time, and that was run by Jeff's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, old school, we just wrote a letter to her, and she was very nice. And if I told her I was going to a show, she would send me passes for after the show. And so that's how I ended up with the Hearts Away video tickets. Was
Well, let,
she
well, let me ask you this: Did had up till that point, had you met the band at all?
um I think Hearts Away was the first time I met the band.
All right. So, how did you find out about the Hearts Away video shoot? Was it through the fan club? Was it from Jeff's sister writing back to you? How did that first come up to you?
I think there was a Patty had made a list of Bay Area fans that were in the fan club.
Hmm.
She sent out a letter to those of us who were within the Bay Area, and she told us if we want to come for the video shoot, they need an audience. So a bunch of us showed up.
That had to be a cool little letter to get.
Yeah, I
you know,
it was it was what we did back then,
well, yeah, well, we just now by the time people are watching this the episode will have been released, but we just recorded an episode yesterday where we talked about our ticket buying experiences, Night Ranger. And, we talked basically how archaic it was in the 80s and even into the 90s, where you would mail a check in for tickets. And so I get exactly what you're saying, but it had to be cool I got a letter, in the mail. Open it up. Do you want to go to a Night Ranger video shoot? Yeah. It's like so so you got this Night Ranger video shoot. Now, did it say what song it was going to be or anything like that?
I think so. I think
Okay.
they told us, but I'm not sure that the album was released at that time yet.
All right.
So
Um now uh where was the video shot at?
it was in Berkeley. I think it was called like the Berkeley Community Theater or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Okay. And how many fans showed up were there?
Ooh, I don't know. Um, More than 100,
Okay.
maybe. I
Now, was it just the video shoot or did they play like, any songs at all for anyone or
They did some songs before the shoot began. All I can remember was them doing a whole lot of Rosie.
well, that makes sense. They still like to do the AC/DC. I just saw them in
Mhm.
Nashville a couple months ago and they threw in Dirty Deeds or Highway to Hell or one of those songs. So so now the stage that they were playing on was, and this is, as I've mentioned on different podcasts, Big Life is kind of a weird tour for collectors because we have there's like not bootleg, but there's bootleg audio or radio recordings of Night Ranger live on the Dawn Patrol tour. There is the Japanese recording, VHS recording or whatever of the Midnight Madness show. Obviously, everybody knows the VHS from Seven Wishes, and then there was the Westwood One audio version of it. Man in Motion, we had Japan in Motion, so we had the video for it, and we had Live in Japan, which was the audio. There's nothing from Big Life. There's no bootlegs of concerts. There's no bootleg video of concerts. The only video footage we have, and I've just kind of learned, like, to me, I thought it was going to be, hey, we're on tour, we're stopping in, San Francisco, in the middle of the show, we're going to stop, lip sync to Hearts Away and then go. So really what we're finding out here is this maybe wasn't even part of the tour. This was just set up for the just strictly a video shoot. Do you remember if the stage was like that all purple stage? Like like the keyboards were like purple and the risers that they would get on in the middle of the stage, they were purple. I guess I should have watched the fucking video before we did this. I might be able to tell. But
Yeah, I should have too.
um but do you remember anything about the stage setup or anything like that?
Not really, just the big old panel of lights behind them,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering right.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't notice anything that was different in real life than from what was put into the video.
Hmm.
I mean, they put in a bunch of montages of
Yeah.
footage
Like they're
and
in a studio and stuff like
yeah,
that
and the whole
recording.
story, but
Mm.
all the concert stuff was shot that night.
Yeah. Did Fitz break out the Keytar?
Not that I know of.
I just remember watching Secret of My Success video and he's got the Keytar and I'm like, what in the fuck? You know. And I'm pretty sure even at 10 years old I was saying the exact same words. Um so so now you said there was they had like raffle. Was that something when you first came in? How did the whole raffle thing go?
Yeah. When everybody came in and we all took took our seats, Patty came out on the stage and announced that they held a little raffle in the back and put everybody's name in. And they first raffled off Brad's Bumblebee shirt.
So
And
there's the shirt. We know where the pants are. The pants are in the Hard Rock in Japan. So we need to go find. Is it Patty's her name, right? Jeff's
yeah,
sister. We need to go track her down and get that old roster and go through it all and find Brad's shirt.
I cannot remember the name of the guy who won, but he was a local guy from, I want to say Petaluma or somewhere.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And he, I wonder where that shirt is today. Probably lost it
yeah.
2 divorces to go and, it went to a thrift store or something. So all right, so that's cool. So we
Yeah.
know
So
where
that's where the Bumblebee shirt went. And then she said that next we're gonna raffle off Jack's pants that he wore in the 4 in the morning video. And we all know the video. It's this where they're taken by the space girls and
Mhm.
they're treated to a concert by these weird space guys wearing strange clothes. And Jack had these crazy looking turquoise jeans with all these geometric shapes on them. And they
and I
kind of
will
look a little bit like
yep,
this.
those are the that is so cool.
So he did say that they were ripped on stage. So my mom had sewn it up. My mom sewed up the little hole in the rip, and that other patch on the knee came with it. I don't know what Jack did to do to rip the knee, but they're pretty funny. And after after the video shoot was over, I went into the bathroom and I tried them on, and lo and behold, they fit me.
Because and I'll post the photo up here so people can
Yeah.
see it while if they're watching. But you got a picture with Jack. It's a great photo. We've shared it on the page a few times, but you got a picture with Jack and you're kind of lean back with your legs up near so you can see
Uh,
the pants and everything.
that was a different that was a
Okay.
different
All right.
show.
So, all right, well then we'll get to that. So,
Yeah.
so when they called your name, uh oh, look at that. A little Dawn Patrol reference. When they when they called your name, uh, did um how did that'd be a cool sense of excitement since you said you were at your peak of Night Ranger fandom. Uh,
uh I'm kind of a shy kind of person. I mean, my friends won't tell you that, but when it comes to being around people I don't know, I am kind of,
yeah.
so I just kind of slowly walked up to the stage, and she handed me the pants, and I was just shocked. I think I was in shock the whole time.
Um, do you remember what else they auctioned off? Did
That was
Kelly?
it, just
Oh,
the shirt and the pants.
all right. So we still got to figure out what happened to Kelly's pajamas that he wore during seven wishes. Uh, so yeah, well, just what else do what else do you remember about that day? Is there anything else that kind of sticks out, or
Um,
how long did it
we
last? Like, what time did it start? Was it like during the, afternoon?
yeah, we showed up in the afternoon. Um, I want to say they let us in the building somewhere probably like 5-ish or so.
Mhm.
We went in and they they did their warm up and they just they just kept going. It didn't last all night, but
Mhm.
it probably lasted, I'd guess, till maybe 10 or so.
All right.
But I do remember one thing that Patty said before the whole thing started was the guys are working. This is a job for them and they are working, so don't don't screw it up,
Yeah.
and that those words always kind of stuck with me whenever, I see a show and I see like the techs working and, don't harass them, don't ask them for guitar picks,
Yeah.
don't, they're working, they've got a job to do. I
Yeah.
guess that comes from my audio engineering background.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did 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 you get to meet them or anything at the end of the show, at the end of the night?
I did. Um, After I put the pants on, and I was so surprised that they fit me, and I did see Patty again in the building afterwards, and we had a good laugh. And she said, "I got to go get Jack. I got to go get Jack." And so Jack came out, and that was the first time that I met him. And we also got to meet Kelly that night.
Hmm.
So my friend got a picture with Kelly. And at that time, selfies weren't the thing, you know.
Yeah.
So back then, I had the clunky film camera, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, Kelly, I know that, or I had heard that you're pretty good at taking the pictures like this. And so can we get one?" And he says, "Yeah, sure." So, that was way before cell phones.
So you got to meet Kelly, and you got to meet Jack. What was Jack's reaction to the pants?
He was laughing. He loved it. It was it was fun. So
Um,
then I had him sign the pants, but it wasn't even with a Sharpie. It was a thin permanent pen, but that
mm,
that wore off a long time ago because no one expected that I would wear them and wash
yeah.
them.
Um, so so after, the big live, did you see them live on that tour?
Yeah, I saw them probably a week or more later because they played in Sacramento.
Mm.
And
Did you wear the
so
pants?
I wore the pants to Sacramento.
Um, so so how about Man in Motion when that came out? What was your thoughts on that, and no fits in the group?
I liked it. Um, I don't know if some people kind of poo-poo that album, but um, I like it. It There's some really good stuff on there.
Mhm. Yeah, it's I think, it's a fan favorite. I mean, I think if people rank their Night Ranger albums, at least all of us hardcores, 8,000 of us on the Fans of Motion page, I would say Man in Motion's probably in most people's top five. Um,
Okay,
it's
good.
just it's it's an album everybody likes. Songs like Reason to Be, um, Don't Start Thinking, and like Halfway to the Sun are three songs that a lot of people have as, oh, I wish they would play this deep cut, so it's those
Hmm.
definitely Don't Start Thinking I'm Alone Tonight. And I've always said it's kind of like the sister song to When You Close Your Eyes. They're very somewhat similar. And if Don't Start Thinking I'm Alone Tonight was released just a few years earlier, it probably would have been a huge hit. But when that was released, you kind of had, you know, the harder bands were kind of starting to take over. You had the Motley Crues and Guns N' Roses and the White Snakes and bands like Survivor,
Yeah.
REO Speedwagon, and Night Ranger were kind of, being phased out even in 1988. You remember?
I
Good.
oops, I had always thought of them not as heavy metal, but stainless steel,
Yep. Yeah.
much polished, much more polished. So
Did you see him on the Man in Motion tour?
I'm pretty sure I did. Um I was going to shows every year, probably until their breakup in what year was that? 90 something?
Well, no, the Man in Motion record was released in the September of '88, and the last Night Ranger shows, I think they may have been in like the California area. So I'm pretty sure they played like San Diego in late December. So they were probably doing those shows, in December on the West Coast. But really the last shows that they did were January and February. And
Okay.
they were broken up by that spring. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so of '89.
I remember Patty having to explain that in the fan club newsletter. And it was hard to explain.
Explain that they broke up.
Yeah, or that, the whole thing with the record company and everything.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that was
that's new too. I think we got a guy on the page. I think his name's Richard, and he has some of those old fan club newsletters. And I remember he had the one where they announced that Fitz left, but I've never heard or I've never seen where they sent a fan club letter out announcing the breakup. So that's again something new that we learned.
I
Um,
think I have it, but it's buried. It's it's
well,
buried in a big old box of old stuff, and one of these days I'm gonna have to get
definitely.
out my
And I
is
tell
it
you what,
Lisa?
I'll tell people that those newsletters, I've been buying Night Ranger stuff for over 30 years, and I don't think I've ever seen those fan club like newsletters or magazines, whatever you want to call them, up for sale. Um,
We hold
not
on to them.
Yeah, not well. Yeah, I mean, well, one, there probably wasn't a lot, going out, probably maybe a couple thousand, right? But, it's all going out to young people, teenagers. You read them, and then, they, 90% of them probably go in the trash. The 10% that are kept, even again with divorces and moves, those are going to be gone. And then the people that do have them, obviously don't want to let go of them. And so, like I said, I've never seen any of them on sale. And Richard, he was kind enough to post some on the page. How bad was your heart broken when you got that newsletter and Night Ranger had broken up?
It was it was pretty tough. it
I re-
it
yeah,
was it hurt.
I I remember, Night Ranger's greatest hits came out. And again, 1988, I'm 11 years old. So, uh, the greatest hits came out in '89, and I forget. I was, with my parents up in Columbus, and I think I had the money or something, or they were going to get it for me for Christmas or birthday. So they went in. My stepdad went into the record store and grabbed the greatest hits, bought it, and came back out. And he told me that the records, the guy that cashed him out had said that they had broken up. And I'm 12 years old or whatever, just like, now what am I going to do? Right? Like, they they had been my favorite band since I was 6, which is half my life at that point. So um uh so was there a spark of happiness when you first heard of Damn Yankees?
Oh yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
They were they toured 2 albums, if
Yep.
I'm correct,
Yeah.
and I probably saw them maybe about 5 times.
All right.
And
Yeah. They toured 90, 91, 92, and up until August of 93. So
yeah, I I saw them quite a few times, and I got another story for you.
there you go. Let's hear it.
In the album liner notes on Damn Yankees, there's thanks to Umberto and Hector Neverleave, the
Yes, yes.
Neverleave
Yep.
brothers.
Yep.
So Jack was Umberto and Tommy was Hector. So when I went to their show here in the Bay Area, I got a couple of, back then it was the painters caps, and it said Yankees, New York Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I took my crafty little fabric paints and I put "damn" across it, and then on one on the bill I wrote Umberto, and then on the other hat I wrote Hector. So my friend and I went to the show together, and there we were right in the pit, and we're dancing around, and I took off. Jack saw me, and he saw my hat, and he says, "Come on, give it to me, give it to me." So I did. I gave him my hat. He danced around on the stage with it for a song, and then after the song, he gave it back to me. So,
There
so
you
that's my Umberto hat.
go. You still got that?
Yeah, I do.
That's good.
I think I posted a picture of that on the page.
Well, I have to go do a little bit of a search and see if I can find
Yeah.
that one. So was it green?
No, it was blue.
Blue. All right.
It was New York
Because they
Yankees.
they did because I've seen some on eBay, and maybe that's where I saw the green, but they're like, that neon color that was popular in the early 90s. I think it was green, but it says Damn Yankees, and it's just like, if it was, I think they probably had it for 20 or 30 bucks. So I'm like, you just want to kind of buy it just to, just show up in it. And uh but
Yeah. Mine
um
was not on eBay. It's one of a kind.
yeah. Um now uh in between, Night Ranger breaking up and Damn Yankees. And the Night Ranger, reformed with, Kelly, Brad, and Gary Moon in right around 91. Um, did you ever see like Jeff's, he had the Jeff Watson group, and then it became Barnaby Wild. And Brad had Mega Mega, which I don't know if they ever did any shows. Um, but did you ever see any of those solo shows there in the late 80s, early 90s?
I did see the band with Gary Moon. I saw that show once or twice, I think.
Hmm.
And then I did see Jeff's band. I think he was going by the Jeff Watson band at that time.
Okay.
So, yeah,
How was that Jeff? You remember like when that Jeff Watson show would have been? Uh, anything you remember about it? Because that's again
very
this.
early 90s. Um, I was working at a theater here, and they came to play the theater. So I pretty much sat right there on the side of the stage behind the speakers the whole show. And I think I tried to take some pictures. I'm not sure if any of them turned out though.
Did you get to meet Now, did you get to meet Jeff, your boy?
I had met him back in Sacramento that the time right after the Hearts
Okay.
Away video.
All right.
So I had I had met my boy.
All right. So so you get the 90s going, you got, the Night Ranger with Gary Moon, and 1997 they get all back together. Are you still invested in the band at that point where you're excited that they're getting back together, or you kind of like in the middle of adulthood and got other shit going on?
Exactly. Um, I stuck around with them for a little bit. I remember seeing I know Jeff was there. I remember seeing the band play in Monterey at a small club. They weren't as popular as, they weren't at
Uh-huh.
the height of their popularity, but I do remember seeing them locally in Monterey. And I went up to the stage was only like 6 inches off the floor. So I remember going up to the side of the stage, and when they were um, Brad reached his hand out to, give high fives and stuff, and I grabbed his hand and I didn't let go until he looked at me. And when he did, he saw who who the hell's got my hand and won't let go. and and then he recognized me. And then Kelly handed me a pair of drumsticks, and the security guy tried to take them away from me. I guess he thought that I would use them as a weapon or something.
Well,
And Kelly had to tell them, no, it's cool. Okay.
um so so that's like the 97, 98. So did you ever get like did you stay just with them, or was there ever like a resurgence where you get a little bit older and you're making a little bit more money and life calms down a little bit and you're like, or you just rediscover, a band, like, you haven't listened to them in really 15 years, and all of a sudden you put it in, you're like, fuck, I really like this, like, why did I
Hmm.
stop? And so,
Yeah.
was there anything like that? Like, what, describe your Night Ranger fandom for the last 20 years.
The, anything past motion, I really didn't buy.
Uh-huh.
So slap my hand,
Well,
I'm not
slap
as
you like being born. Now that's a song off Neverland you'll have to go get.
yeah, so I I think I've heard it, but I've never really gone out and bought any of those
Hmm.
releases after motion. And I kind of took over, I kind of fell in love with a different band, and my crazy fandom was directed elsewhere.
And who was this band? Who do we got to blame? Haja Gugu?
Queensryche. Queens.
Queensryche. All right. So are you team Jeff Tate or team
No.
Queensryche?
Todd
So
Latore is my man.
all right. See, like, I know Andy's a big Queensryche fan. I would assume Brent is too. Now with me, not that I, you know, cared less or anything about Queensryche, but when I was younger, my buddies like Queensryche, but to me, I just never could get into bands. He was just too good of a singer. Like, it was too slick, and there has to be something. I was like, now I like Dream Theater though. That's, I mean, it's like, so I contradict myself, and then it's like, I'm 13 years old, and I'm kind of rocking the Empire, and all of a sudden, I'm getting a social studies lesson. I don't, like, I don't care about the gross national product of, the United States and all that shit. So I
They
kind of
were,
checked out.
yeah, they were
Um,
referred to as the thinking man's band.
yeah. And when
So,
I was a teenager, I was thinking, but it wasn't up here. Um, but but my buddies and everybody, enjoyed them, and I will listen to them occasionally, but to me, they're kind of like Dawkins, another group that I probably should like because I like groups just like them, but I don't listen to that, just never got it. But I did see Queensryche with the new lineup. No, it wasn't that long ago. Last year, opening for Judas Priest in Charleston, West Virginia, the mighty metropolis that it is. And they were good. I thought what was interesting was they didn't play a lot of hits. They played,
How long ago
this was
was
just
it? This
last year, about a year
okay.
ago. Been played spring of 22. They
Okay.
played Empire. No, maybe. Like it was either Empire or Jet City Woman, and that was
Yeah.
like really the only hit. They played, a couple others, but there was no Silent Lucidity or like I said, if they played uh, you know, Empire, then they didn't play Jet City Woman. I was just surprised, and I'm fine with it, I guess. I don't, like, we always talk about Night Ranger, everybody's wanting to hear him play all these deep tracks. And I'm like, that's great if you're a hardcore fan, um, so Queensryche.
Yeah. With
So
with Queens with Queensryche, it's if you know, you know. You
I
know,
don't
we
know.
we don't stop to explain things.
um,
If-
did I mean, I will give like Queensryche is like, I mean, I follow Queensryche more because it's like Young and the Restless. It's like they're getting spitting on each other, and then they break up, and then the group, that half the group that went and kept the band name, then they start fighting with each other. The drummer goes AWOL. There's
that's that's the same with Journey. I'm so
oh,
disappointed.
Journey's a fucking mess. Um,
Yeah, it's the Neil Sean shit show.
well, okay, so I saw Journey last year, and it was, I mean, you talk about a band going through motions. Like it sucked. But there is, if you go look, there's a podcast is not very popular because the topic of Journey that they talk about, but he gets all the like legal proceedings, all the legal documents, and goes through it and explains what this is and what this is. I think the guy is either an attorney or he's something with the law. So it's not very interesting. It's not about the music and sex and drugs. But anyways, I saw it somewhere and I listened to it, and he breaks into it. Basically, the way the court proceeding is Jonathan Cain has basically, as a corporation, is doing like a hostile takeover. So they split the expenses in half, but um, Jonathan Cain can see what Neil spends, but Neil cannot see what Jonathan Cain spends. So whereas, his argument is, um, you know, I can't see, are we paying your roadie or are you paying it like you should? He can't see the Journey finances. Um, so anyways, that's where all that is, and he even, he will give some opinion on stuff. He obviously knows some of the Journey history because he talks about like how you had Ross and um, Steve Smith and that. He brings up some of those cases and he goes, this was kind of weird that Jonathan Cain did this in that situation because it almost like he's eliminating people. And he eliminated those two, and when he did this, they submitted these, and so suddenly now it hurts Neil. And anyways, it was interesting, but kind of a boring read. So
But that guy will stay busy with his podcast.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
he had a couple of them where just with the newest newest stuff. But
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
ever since Neil married that the housewife woman,
Hmm.
I swear there's been a lawsuit constantly, but either with him or her involved. Yeah.
Well, um, that's another thing. The guy, he'll throw in clips, and um, I don't know what her name is, but the girl that Jonathan Cain's married to, she's like a
Oh,
minister or something,
Tawny.
and
He did
he's
softcore porn.
and uh, he's like, and he goes, he's talking about money, and he's like, and it's kind of weird when this is filed, she said this, and then they go to like, like her on stage preaching, and she'll say just something like, you're just like sitting there like, she's saying this in front of like people like during like a sermon or whatever. It's one of these big TV churches, right? And like there was one part where she said something about Neil dying, like, yeah, if Neil died, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, it's just like it's just crazy. Anyways, yeah, because the girl that Neil's married to, she was the one that I don't know, was it during Clinton or
She crashed
yeah,
the
her and her
the
husband at the
White House.
time, yes, they basically were able to get fake invites and got a picture with the president, um and yeah, it caused a big to do because who else could do that, I
Yeah.
guess. But
And then she ran away with the band and met the band on the road and just kept
well,
going with them,
yeah,
and her
only thing
husband.
I'll give her is, I mean, give them is, they've been together for 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and if you can do that, you got
but
my
but would
um
you leave your husband and have him fill out a missing persons report on you because you took off and joined the circus?
well, listen, man, if
That's crazy.
if I'm, with, some lady, and um it's okay, let's say I'm with oh, who can we say,
Lita
um
Ford.
yeah, let's just say Lita Ford, right? I'm with Lita Ford. That's all right. Lita Ford was hot, back in the day. She's still beautiful now, right? But then all of a sudden, who can I think of? Just uh, one of these young, I don't even, who the fuck's out there anymore. But one of the Kardashians girls or whatever, right? Uh, and I'm only thinking about the money. But suddenly they want my ass. Fuck yeah, I'm joining that circus. Like, I'll see you later, Lita. I'm gonna go here. So yeah, Lita might file a missing persons report on old Weave, because she would want me back, but I'd be saying, listen, I'm with the Kardashians. They kind of look like Chewbacca without hair a little bit, but I'm going with it because they got the dough. Um, so um, so when did the Queensryche thing start?
After Empire came out.
All right. So, but
Yeah.
when all
Yeah.
right.
So
So,
so I had to go back in the catalog
yeah.
and get caught up.
So, so when was the last time you saw Night Ranger?
Probably around 2017, 2018, somewhere in there.
You still
Because
enjoyed as much as you did back in the day?
yeah, I mean, I saw them with Reb, and then
Hmm?
I I saw them probably about 4 or 5 times with Joel. And Joel, anyone who knows me on Facebook, Joel is my other pretend boyfriend. So, and
Uh,
he knows that.
yeah, Joel's a good guy. We had it. He was one of the very first guys we had on the
Right.
podcast as
That's
well.
how I found you,
Oh,
is
there we
through
go.
Joel.
All right. Well, I guess I owe Joel
So,
a beer for that one.
yeah. And then I had seen them with Kelly a few times,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't seen them since the pandemic.
All right. Um, have you now are you, I know you told me earlier, but I don't remember. Are you still in that San Francisco area?
I am in the Monterey Bay area,
All right, I have no
so
so
couple couple hours south
a
of
couple
San
hours. All right.
Francisco.
So now is Jeff still in San Francisco? Where's
He is in North um, Marin County
okay.
in the North Bay.
All right. You ever when you have you seen Jeff at any shows or anything since he was in the band?
I have not. I haven't seen Jeff. I'm friends with him on Facebook, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I don't think he leaves home very often.
Yeah. Well, I know we had the
He
you
had
know
the surgery.
surgery and then um not that we talked often, but I was trying to get him on the podcast. This would have been probably 2020, and he had just had back surgery. But with the pandemic, he wasn't able to go get like physical therapy and stuff. And I know,
Mm,
he was saying just, he couldn't do it right, maybe, at the beginning of the year or something. But um so yeah, so you don't have any, you haven't been listening to any of the new Night Ranger stuff. You didn't go out and get ATBPO?
no, I did not.
Oh my lord. And but that's what I kind of, tell, I brought up to Brent and Andy when we kind of were adding Robin and Lisa, into the mix on the podcast. They are classic era fans and really don't listen to any of the newer stuff. And where me, Brent, and Andy, we're into everything. And I told him that would be, it's an interesting perspective of having um, that perspective of where they are just classic era, fans. And because we always assume, if you're a Night Ranger fan, you're getting the new records and everything else. I will say you're missing out. There are some great Night Ranger tunes on Neverland, great Night Ranger tunes on Seven, um, and really, the studio albums, since Somewhere in California have all been, good. Now, is it classic Night Ranger sound? Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody does anything the same as they were in 1982.
Right.
But it's still good. And I there are a lot of bands that I enjoy that put out new music, and it's if I can get two good songs off of it, I'm happy. And um, generally speaking, all these records straight through are pretty good. So you got Jack Blades' 4 in the morning pants. Didn't you almost lose them? What was that story?
Oh, yeah. I went to see them somewhere in the Joel era,
Mm-hmm.
and I was up front. They started playing the song 4 in the morning, and I was waving them, and everything. But Jack didn't see me, so I had tossed them up on the edge of the stage, kind of like I had thrown my hat on the stage
Mm-hmm.
years before. So I thought Jack would pick them up and kind of, shake them around or something and recognize them and know who they were from. The stage tech came and ran onto the stage and grabbed the pants before Jack even saw him. So there I seen my pants going off stage. And I thought, oh, they're gone forever. I'm never going to get them back now. But then when Jack came out for bows, he he saw me and I yelled to him, Jack, go get my pants back from the stagehand. And so he did. He went backstage and he got my pants and he brought them back out to me. So
Did he? But he probably did. He catch on that they were from 4 in the morning?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Um,
if he
these
got that
these
far.
guys are their own worst historians. People will be like, if we're trying to figure out something, history wise in the band, people, will tell me or leave a comment. Well, ask them. I'm like, they're the worst person to ask. One, it's, you know, 40 some, almost 40 years ago, and two, they were rock stars in the 80s. Um, so um, but yeah, you're gonna when I get the touring Night Ranger museum going to travel all around the United States and spread the gospel of Night Ranger, I'm gonna have to get a loan out for those pants and put
Oh, I
those
don't
on
know.
display. Um, so um yeah, so what other any other good Night Ranger stories you can think of before we sign off here?
I do want to say that Night Ranger has given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people back in the day. One one person that I'm still friends with now, shout out to Erica. Um, we we met through the fan club. She and I were both at that Hearts Away video shoot, and Patty thought that we'd make good friends, and we did. So we had we had kept going to all the Night Ranger shows together, and we she was also big fan of Eric Martin, so we went to a
Another
lot
Bay
of his
Area.
shows
Yeah.
together. Yep.
Um,
So that's all I can say about the power of music. Brings
yes.
people together.
So, was your life complete when you found Fans in Motion,
Yeah,
or were you like, holy shit, there's a lot more dedicated Yahoos out there than just me.
yeah. I like to read the posts from the people from the old era,
Mm,
people who were in the fan club way back when
yeah.
and remember Patty or
Mm,
Lindsay. Her she went by the name Lindsay back
all right.
then.
Um,
But I like to read those.
yeah. Well, like I said, I just remember you when you first, posted that, it was just cool to know, like, okay, because you wonder, I don't know if you wonder, but it, where's that stuff at? And you see a picture, and I got these, and it's like, holy shit, it's um, because, like, I remember watching, I don't know, something on VH1 probably 20 years ago, and it was the Hard Rock Cafe, like whoever like did the job of getting stuff to hang in the restaurants, and he went to Brian Johnson's house, lead singer of AC/DC, and um, you know, he just goes to his closet, right? This just looks like a regular closet, like in an apartment building, and he has a box, and he's like, well, here's some lyrics and stuff, and like there's the handwritten lyrics to, like, For Those About to Rock or something. He just has them in a box, and um he's like, there's these shoes, I wore them, I think we'll get rid of them, but if you want, I wore them in the uh Money Talks video. But if you don't want, I'm just put, he picks them up, like getting ready to throw them away. He's like, no, will take those. It's just like, so, I always think about that. Yeah, I got, the like the blue, remember the turquoise,
Who was it that wanted that? Was that Andy or you
well, I don't know about,
or Brett?
wandering, but like Brent had one when he, back in the day. And
Somebody really loved that jacket
yeah,
because of Jack.
yeah, I think they Brent found it like at Chess King or something like that back in the day. But it's like, that's so iconic from that Seven Wishes era. And um yeah, Jack probably, lined a dog cage or something with it, in the 90s or something. Um, or just like Brad getting rid of that.
The bumblebee
the
shirt.
bumblebee shirt, to where now, I mean, it's kind of iconic in the whole
Yeah.
Night Ranger lore, to where I'm pretty sure he could probably sell it for a good little chunk of change, make a house payment or something with it.
I
But
don't know if you remember, Jeff used to wear a white shirt with stars on it. It was a button-up shirt and it had blue stars on it.
I don't know about the blue stars. I remember
It
like a
was
white button up and it had like blue lines.
no,
But
not
all
that one.
right. And if
This
you
isn't.
notice in the one that he wears it in one video, and if you watch like maybe it's the Sister Christian video, Brad's wearing the same shirt. Like, yeah, so if you go look, someone pointed that out on the page, and I was like, I'll be damned, it sure enough is. But
Yeah,
so that
but
the star shirt,
the star shirt, um, Jeff said that his sister bought for him at Macy's,
really, uh,
which it just made me laugh. Here he is, buying stage clothes at Macy's.
well, I would like to know with Jeff. Remember, remember, it was like he looked like he was in the marching band and had the Night Ranger logo on it. It was like white and red. Um,
I
eh,
kind of remember that one.
Goofy as hell. I thought it was cool as hell though, in 1985. But it'd be
Mhm.
interesting to see, where that ended up. But
I I liked his bowling shoes. I think I saw those in a Hard Rock somewhere, but I
all right.
I can't remember. But I really liked his
Yeah.
bowling shoes.
I do know, I think is it a guitar or an outfit? But something of his at the Hard Rock in Iowa. Um,
Okay, I
uh,
saw a
of Jeff.
flying V of his in Tahoe.
All right.
So I'm sure they move around though.
Yeah.
So it could have been the same.
But Brad's pants, that was a great thing about the page, was a fan in Japan posted them there, and it's like we all wondered where the shirt went. Like, where's the shirt at?
Hmm.
And I don't know if we kind of knew that or not until this exclusive interview with Melissa Gong. All right, Melissa. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing these stories. Again, Night Ranger minutia. We learned um, some interesting new stuff, to where the Hearts Away video isn't really from the live tour. It's beforehand at a theater, and we learned where Brad's shirt is, and we got to see. Hold those pants up again. Let's take another gander at them. Old Jack Blades. Yep. So there you
Yeah,
go. Go watch the 4 in the morning. The video kind of matches the jacket he would eventually wear.
yeah. I
Um,
think he used to wear them together.
maybe. We'll I'll try to find some photos and post
Yeah.
them up here. But
But he
oh
also had some white ones like this.
yes, I remember. Yeah, because it kind of looks. If you think about it, it kind of looked like a Dalmatian or a cow, because they're white and they got like the black, like the black.
Well, actually, they're just geometric, kind of.
I know, but from a distance, you just see like they look like spots. I'm like, is that Dalmatian? Um, but uh, Melissa, you got anything to say to anybody out there in the fans in motion world before we sign off here?
No, just shouting out to my friends, Erica, and hopefully I'll get to see Joel this Christmas with TSO.
Yeah. Look at this.
Oh, there you go.
Right there they
Uh,
are.
there they are.
Yep. That all I did was type in Jack Blades 1985, and they showed right up. Here's the white ones you were talking about.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
we wonder who has those. And
He probably threw them out or sent them to Goodwill.
look at this. There they are there. So
Yeah.
what hold on, I can maybe find out what the date of that is. Let's see here real quick. I'm interested. Let's see. No, not that one. That one right there. August 5th, 1985.
All right.
Yep. So there you go. You got your own little personal Night Ranger good piece of history. But Melissa, thank you for joining us, and I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna have to come out to California, see a Night Ranger show, and have you bring
Okay.
those out. I can maybe
Okay.
put one leg in them if that.
It's better than me.
You know what's
I can't
crazy? What's
I
crazy is
can't get them over my hips.
Jack could probably still wear them. But anyways, Melissa, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Okay, I hope you do come out this way.
I will try.
Think of it, I hold the world in the palm of my